脑洞永远不够多，只怕真相太寂寞。大家好，我是大鸡，欢迎回到我的频道。在这里呢，我们会一起来看一些那些在网络上面流传一些奇异的、挑战我们认知的一些影片哦。那当然顺便增强一下我们的英语听力。那在开始之前呢，请先帮我订阅、按赞，非常感谢。那我们话不多说，赶快开始吧 ，Let's go!
Alright.David Grush may have broken his security oath. Check this out.
Into this.
Got it.
Tell me about these crash sites that you've seen personally.
Yeah, a lot of them looked like what we saw. Some of the reporting dropped on Friday. There was a 1948 memo from the Chief of Naval Operations that discussed the flying disc pandemic that they were having, and they were enlisting help of the Air Force Intelligence Service. A lot of it was lenticular discs. Some was crescent moon shaped. I call it the flattened sunfish. There's a bunch of different morphologies that the U.S. government has recovered, from eggs to discs to crescent moon, boomerang type vehicles, and I got a small smattering sample of that of ones that have landed or crashed on the surface of the Earth.
The US government has recovered egg-shaped craft, disc crescent moon shapes, boomerang type vehicles, right? Now it's funny about the boomerang type vehicles because that's what I've actually seen in Warminster, Wiltshire around 2014, right? Is the V-shaped formations flying forwards like this, and then boomerang shapes as well, right? So that is something that hits quite close to home to me, which is funny. And now we also have the egg-shaped UAPs as well, or UFOs or whatever they were that crashed, referencing Jacob Barber's experience between his crash retrieval program. So is that semi-confirming what Jake was actually retrieving is real? And this is quite an interesting bit of information that Grush has dropped again. It seems like he's firing out all sorts at the minute, and maybe being given the green light to kind of share some of this stuff that not many others are kind of, got the balls to. Bit weird. I don't know.David
Grush 他们在上个礼拜好像也是在这个国会台阶的地方又做了一次声明哦。他再次的声明就是说，美国政府知道除了人类之外的智慧生命体哦。但是我想说，美国政府就是应该会有很大的困难踏出这一步，因为这样子的话，无重力跟无限能源就在一线之隔而已。所以说这个的话，不知道将来会怎么发展，我们就继续的关注吧。All right.
The Pope wants to shut down AI. Yeah. He says artificial intelligence needs to be disarmed. To disarm does not mean rejecting technology, but preventing it from dominating humanity. And then he quoted Gandalf as like a rebuttal to Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel said, Gandalf's the crazy person who wants to start a war. Mordor is a technological civilization based on reason and science.
They just try to make Mordor the
good guy.
The good guy. But that's wrong. Leo was behind the scenes, like, listening to that and like, has this guy seen Lord of the Rings?
It's not our part to master all the tides of the world, uprooting the evil in the fields that we know, so that those who live after may have a clean earth to till.
Ooh.
So that was his quote from Gandalf. Like, basically the opposite of what Peter Thiel said.
Thiel is a quote-unquote Christian.
A fake Christian.
But how do we feel about him doing lectures on the Antichrist?
Oh, I know.
He just said Mordor is the hero.
Yeah, 不知道，但是我还是觉得 AI 你是没有办法停止 AI 的发展，所以说与其阻止，不然就是尽量把它用在好的用途，然后不要被坏人拿去使用。所以这个 Peter Thiel 这个人真的是一个很奇怪的人物，而且他有这么大的权力哈，但是他相信的东西是非常奇怪的。但是因为他掌握了很多国家的网络安全 cyber security， 所以说以后我们会常常看到他的名字出现。All right.
Former intelligence official and whistleblower David Grush met with members of Congress, providing them with detailed information about covert government programs that he said possessed craft of non-human origin. This had been hidden from congressional oversight for decades. I was privileged to have interviewed Mr. Grush extensively before publishing his story with my colleague Ralph Blumenthal 3 years ago. 6 weeks after the story broke, Mr. Grush testified under penalty of perjury in an open congressional hearing. While under oath, he spoke about an ultra-secret crash retrieval program and stated that some craft contained specimens or pilots, which he called non-human biologics. The potential existence of another living, intelligent, advanced species has more implications for humanity than the recovery of technological hardware. Now, the conversation needs to shift again, with more of a focus on biology and less on technology. Having served for decades on the staff of Congressional Intelligence and Defense Committees, Kirk McConnell, who is standing here today in the back, he was present in classified settings when highly credible sources briefed senators, including Marco Rubio, about recovered non-human bodies. Unlike legitimate national security concerns that require us to keep advanced technologies of non-human origin secret, that justification should not apply to biological evidence. Knowledge of the existence of another life form, studied and documented by qualified experts, should not be considered a threat to national security. By what authority can any institution withhold confirmation of what may be the most consequential scientific discovery in human history?
对啊，比如说我们一有发现新的海洋生物，然后我们就会公布，然后或者是我们发现新的星星啊，或者星云啊，我们就会公布。那为什么就是外星人、地外文明这些高智慧的其他物种，我们就不能公布呢？All right.
Today I learned that insurance started in coffee shops. Let me explain. When coffee arrived in England in the early 1600s, it changed things in a way nobody expected. Not because the English had sophisticated taste, but because of what coffee wasn't. It wasn't alcohol. And in 17th century London, where the water definitely wasn't safe to drink and ale was basically the default beverage, a hot drink that made you sharper instead of slower was a revelation. So coffee houses spread fast. By the early 1700s, there were roughly 2,000 of them in London alone. But the smart owners figured out that coffee was not the selling point. What people actually wanted was information. In a world with no daily newspaper and a postal system that took weeks, the best way to find out what was happening in the world was to find someone in the room who knew. And coffee houses became those places. They call them penny universities because for the price of a penny, anyone from any background and any profession could walk in and access the collective knowledge of whoever happened to be in the room. Some of those coffee houses became the institutions we know today. Jonathan's and Exchange Alley, where merchants gathered to trade commodity prices, became the London Stock Exchange. And then there's Lloyd's. Edward Lloyd opened his coffee house in 1686, knowing that the people who needed information the most were ship captains and merchants who had loaded everything they owned onto a ship somewhere in the Atlantic with no way of knowing if that ship was still floating. So he built his coffee house specifically for them. Lloyd's became the single best place in London to find out what was happening on the water. Eventually, Lloyd's became the place for maritime insurance. And over time, Lloyd's stopped serving coffee and became the institution Lloyd's of London, which still exists today. But Lloyd's is not an insurance company. It's a marketplace. You can think of Lloyd's like a farmer's market. At a farmer's market, different vendors set up stalls, so you might have 3 people selling tomatoes and several selling cheese. The market doesn't grow or sell anything itself. It's just the place where everything gets sold. Lloyd's works exactly like that, except instead of tomatoes and cheese, the stalls are insurance syndicates selling coverage. Multiple syndicates might be offering the same type of insurance, competing on price and terms. Lloyd's is just the venue, which means between all those syndicates, you can insure almost anything. A supermodel's legs, a satellite before launch, or a shipping lane in an active war zone. And the same syndicate structure of Lloyd's Coffee House back in the 17th century, merchants gathering in a room, each taking a share of risk, signing their name beneath the terms, is still how Lloyd's prices a tanker transiting the Strait of Hormuz today. Same logic, same word, just a different room.
Wow, coffee house. All right.
So whenever it's time for the next development in our next invention, whatever it is we're going to have in our timeline, when that happens, the idea is put out into the atmosphere. They don't care who picks it up, as long as it is invented in the timeline. Look at how many people all over the world who are always working on the same invention at the same time. They don't care, and that's why I've talked to people all over the world in Australia and United States who have all been working on free energy. They all have the same ideas. And I asked them, should I put these people together? And they said, no, let them develop on their own. But the idea is put out so that its next invention is in our timeline. It will be there now.
他刚刚讲的是 free energy 吗？所以说回到这个 UFO disclosure， 我觉得跟 free energy 免费能源有关。All right.
Just wait for it.
Nah, bro. That literally looks like somebody went like that. It takes place at a practice graduation ceremony.
Nah, there's no way this shit's fake, bro.
So it's a camera just recording. The principal's on the stage with a couple students, and they're just going over what they're gonna do the day of graduation. And as they're talking, a door opens hard as fuck, right?
And nobody's there.
Nobody's there. And the principal's not really trying to like be scared, because if he gets scared, then the students are gonna get scared.
Wait, we can see the door?
Yeah.
So then we're gonna talk about individual accomplishments a little bit, and we'll move you off to the side before
So boom, right?
other stuff starts. That's odd. Change in air pressure, or was that a friendly ghost, Mr. Baker?
They're not automatic doors, so like you gotta push. But then like as the video goes on, the cap of one of the students goes flying.
Nah. Nah.
And
Just wait for it.
Nah, bro. That literally looks like somebody went like that. You know, why are schools so haunted? Like, all schools have this weird, like, have you ever seen the video? Oh, you didn't realize how scary school was until you go into a school late at night.
Majority of the time it's loud, so
Yeah,
seeing
hell yeah.
it at night and it's quiet, it gives like an eerie ass vibe. I don't like a Batgooms vibe. I don't know why.
对啊，为什么学校总是蛮恐怖的哈？因为可能白天很热闹，然后晚上变阴森。但是我总是觉得像那种长廊式的学校，总是有点诡异的感觉。all right.
I'm curious about what's happening around the world right now. Mosquitoes have officially reached Iceland, which was always known as the last place on Earth that remained free from them. These factory workers in China are testing up to over 10,000 vapes a day per worker. Akon was building Akon City, which he was trying to make the real-life Wakanda using blockchain cryptocurrency stuff, but it has recently since been just abandoned. A man in China had a metal chopstick removed from his throat after swallowing it while drinking 8 years prior. He decided to live with it because he didn't want to have surgery, but now that it was removed, it was revealed that his vocal cords had not been harmed at all. Recent fossilized evidence from Alberta, Canada is showing that a 75-million-year-old dinosaur had cancer, specifically advanced malignant bone cancer in its shin, which spread elsewhere in the body and was almost certainly terminal for this dinosaur. My name's Adorian, follow me to stay in the loop.
Alright， 那这就是今天的影片啦。如果喜欢这些影片的话，不要忘记帮我订阅、按赞、分享，感谢。我们下次见 ，Have a good one， 拜拜。